Hi, this is Roger Glover of Deep Purple, and you're listening to Morgan Richards on Radio Cardiff.
Hey, I'm Morgan Richards from Radio Cardiff, and I'm very pleased to say now that I'm joined none other than Mr. Roger Glover of Deep Purple.
How am I doing, all right?
I was just going to ask you.
How are you doing?
I'm not too bad, how are you?
Okay, ask me later, I'll be fine.
So Roger, I have to start by saying it's been almost 50 legendary and crazy years on the road touring for Deep Purple now. You've just recently released a 20th studio album. After all this time, I'm sure the last 5 decades have just been full of some crazy and surreal moments.
Yeah, that's the perception, isn't it? That rock and roll is crazy and surreal and stuff. It's actually not. Quick to point out that the glamour is non-existent, or very little of it, you know. Of course, we've seen a lot of the world. We've seen a lot of ups and downs. There's been peaks and valleys in our career. But I think if you look at anyone's life over 50 years, you're going to find the same thing. People get divorced, get new jobs, have children, whatever it is that governs their lives. Our lives have been governed by basically the public, I suppose, and our own ambitions, desires, our own work. And yeah, you make wrong moves and you make some right moves, and you never know which is which until later, So, but I'm a great believer in luck. I think luck's played a huge part in it, and but luck gives you the chance to then do your best, and hard work then follows, and then that's what changes things.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, you've just recently released a 20th studio album, Infinity, back in April. Really, after all this time, what's some of the most challenges and inspiration for you now continuing to songwriting after all this time?
I think the hardest thing to realise is if you've got a long career with a certain kind of music that people associate with, you tend to become a parody of yourself. And that's what we try to avoid. We have the same instrumentation that we did 50 years ago, and we still write songs in pretty much the same way, but we try to make them fresh and different. Stay away from our own cliches, if you like. And that's the most difficult thing. It's really hard to find something like a Smoke on the Water riff. It's so simple, and yet it's nothing like nothing else. And I had an argument with a Russian guy. He said, if you really Smoke on the Water today, it would still be a hit. And I said, I don't think so. It's of its time, And he said, well, just write another riff. I said, okay, go ahead. They're hard to come by. That don't sound like anything else. So that's what we do. We try to have fun and relax and try not to be what people expect us to be.
Okay. And really, you've been supporting this record on the Long Goodbye tour now. Of course, when you first announced it, a few of you were suffering from kind of health issues and weren't too sure what the future really held for Deep Purple, but now you've stated you've been enjoying this tour more than ever. For you, is the plans never really set in stone? Is it just see how everything goes and just enjoy it as much as possible?
It was never set in stone, in as much as we couldn't give you a date. But we know we're going to end sometime in the next year or the year after, or who knows. But at our age, we're in our 70s now. I don't think if it's one person, then you can know. But when there's 5 of you, and you all have sort of a mixed bag of health concerns and reasons and whatever, so we really don't know. But as long as we're enjoying it, we'll try and keep going. Yeah. But when that will be, how long is a piece of string?
And with that, is there really plans for maybe more material, or are you just seeing how everything goes?
We don't plan. We just let things happen. I'd love to do another album, but we haven't booked studio time or thought about it much. We'll get into next year before we even start thinking about that.
And one thing I wanted to mention to you was, of course, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Of course, finally you were inducted last year in 2016, but there was a lot of controversy and uproar from a lot of other musicians and some of the biggest names in rock around the world that you hadn't been inducted sooner. For you, getting that introduction after so many top names really flagged your case to get in there, did it make it a bit more special, knowing that there was support from so many of your other peers and bands?
It's not that special to us.
No?
I mean, it's special that people support us, yes. That's we're very thankful for that. And lots of people, from Metallica to Alice Cooper to Rush to lots of people wondered why we weren't in there. when we actually we didn't get it twice before we got it, and what do you answer that with? Well, it's not that important to us, you know. And now that we've got it, it's still not that important to us, you know. I still hasn't changed my life in any way except I got a gong and a free mug, you know. So, but it's a bit of icing on the cake. A friend of mine said when he was getting an award like that, he said, you know, the real reward for what you do is getting on stage and playing. That's every night. That's the reward. Something like a recognition like that is just a little bit of icing on the cake. That's all. It's not that important.
Okay. Well, fantastic. Well, that's about it. Cheers, Roger, for taking time out to speak to me. Really appreciate it.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Not at all.